Hey, what's going on? Muriel from the Sunshine Family about schools in Costa Rica. Yes, when I moved to Costa Rica, I brought my two growing up kids. They were 8 and 14. So, as a mom living in Costa Rica, I know everything about the options of school in Costa Rica for expats. And I would love to tell you all I have learned myself about it. So, you can make a better informed decision. If you are scrolling here on YouTube about information about moving to Costa Rica, welcome to my channel. My name is Muriel. If you never met me before, welcome to my video. Welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to introduce myself. I moved to Costa Rica in 2018 with my husband Dirk, my daughter Sam, and my son Nick. They are now 17 and 11, and we have experienced the pandemic in Costa Rica. We experienced coming here as Dutch expats, knowing no language, no Spanish language. Yeah, we have tested specific Costa Rica schools, which I will tell you all about it from the 3 options I see for you. That means public schools, private schools, and online schools. Okay, a big heads up. I was able to move to Costa Rica because I already worked 100% online. So I closed my laptop in the Netherlands. We sold and left everything, and we came to Costa Rica. I'm standing on the tail of one of my dogs. Sorry, Lucky. And we opened our laptops here in Costa Rica and maintaining our online business. So let that be super clear. We're independent. We don't have brick and mortar businesses nor jobs. And if that is something that interests you, that's also one of the major things that I teach. So, of course, you're probably here guessing that you want to learn more about Costa Rican schools. It might not surprise you that today, COVID, like I'm talking about, the pandemic. After the pandemic, we decided, since we work from home anyways, to let our kids be doing online schooling. I'm going to touch on examples, pricing, pros and cons, benefits, and options for you. So stay tuned. But before I'm going to dive right in, all the information, open invite. Consider to subscribe by hitting that little icon here on the screen or a pop-up you see around my face. Inviting you to subscribe and hitting that bell icon to get a notification every time I upload a new video. And that will always be Costa Rica related. And sometimes I just dedicate my videos about how to make money online or from Costa Rica, because that's what I do. But you don't have to wait for those videos. Just go ahead, click the first link below my videos to learn more. There's a world of information in the description below my videos. Look up that descriptions, and there's free book tips, free training, how to connect with me, and of course I really appreciate your thumbs up. Ask me questions in the comments below, or just share my video with everyone who you believe can benefit from it. So let's talk about schools in Costa Rica. Okay, let's kick off with public schools in Costa Rica. We did not use public schools, but this is what I can share about it. I know parents, their kids go to public schools and they're perfectly fine. There's a public high school, even in our area at the Peninsula de Nicoya. I know people, their kids went to university in the United States after completing only private schools. So, but the quality of private schools really depend from where you are, where they are, and how how the teachers are, and overall there's always a difference in from village to village, so to say. But I cannot really compare because my kids didn't go themselves to public schools. But this is the rule in Costa Rica, that up to grade 6, more or less 10 to 11 years, it is mandatory and free. So if you're living on a budget, it's a way. But here's the con of public schools. Overall, there's not so much focus on learning different languages compared to private schools, where it's often bilingual, Spanish, English, and sometimes even more languages. So, but private schools go overall from $5.5 to $600 per month per child, exclusive food plan, uniform, and transportation. So I'm just throwing in some pricing here. If that is very important to you, there's a big difference. But there's also a difference in quality of teaching. Like international school, they really base their education on the demand of expats. So if private school students, overall expat parents want their kids to be able to study around the world outside of Costa Rica. Not every expat stays living in Costa Rica. So there's this a global level of what private schools are keeping up. That is what I have experienced with the schools that my kids went to. There was a private school called Futuro Verde. It is accredited with IB. It is on the peninsula de Nicoya in the province Punta Arenas. So it's not just in Central Valley or near Tamarindo. There is this IB accredited school here on the peninsula, which is like the more rural area to live in. Yeah, if your kid graduates here, then it has IB. It can have their IB qualification, and that makes it easier to be accepted around the world on any other school, right? But here's the thing. The pandemic has changed so much, so I will cover my personal insights on why a third option might be a better option for you. But if you're applying for residency or if you have a tourist status, there is gaps in the law right now. So I want you to watch my video till the end, because I have not seen other people sharing this information as a parent who has experienced this as a parent and having the option to have their kids going to an online school because they work from home themselves. A lot of parents I know, they don't work from home, or they don't work for themselves. They have to go to a job or a business, or they have their business home like an Airbnb, but they're super busy and they don't have time to guide their kids with online learning and homeschooling, which is what I do now. So I think I go from left to right. I'm a little bit chaotic, but there's a lot to explain about this, pros and cons. So here's the thing. When you are coming to live in Costa Rica as a family, I believe that the best way for your children to integrate in the Costa Rica culture, in the Costa Rica language, and in an expat community is sending your kids to a private school is the best option. This is how I've done it myself, so that's a big pro. Connecting, learning the language, finding friends, but also for you as parents, you will see that a private school has an expat community which is not just guiding you with schooling, but also integrating as an expat in living in Costa Rica, whether that's temporarily or forever, right? Expats come and go, and some expats stay forever. So that's a big benefit, okay? The con is pricing for some people, because I'm not saying it's expensive or cheap, because what's expensive or cheap, if you ask me, I'm an entrepreneur, I work online, I decide what I earn. That's the freedom what I have with my online business. What is expensive or cheap depends on what you have in your wallet. I'm super transparent on my ideas, so you don't have to agree on it, but that's what I've learned over time. I'm working on my financial blueprint and stepping away from my job and having others, sometimes I have an English block, that my paychecks are depending on what others are willing to pay me. So that's the freedom as entrepreneur that I have gained over time. If that's not your situation, or learn how to work remotely and online like I do, and I invite you to go ahead and follow the links around my video, or take the options that you have. So pricing of private schools go from the school that my kids went to, which is Futuro Verde in Cobano, in Punta Arenas province, and that's the peninsula de Nicoya. I love it here. It's close to Santa Teresa, Montezuma, Cabuya. I paid around $500 per child per month. So let's say with a food plan, having a meal, uniforms and transportation, because we didn't live close to the school, we were paying more or less $1,200 to $1,300 per month for 2 kids. Okay? The benefit was they met a lot of friends right away, and I met many parents right away, which became our friend that helped us all to integrate. Now, the cons is the budget for a lot of people. So if you go to a public school, it will be free up to that or more or less 10-year-old age. But then it's a matter of being lucky or not lucky if the quality of the school is good or not, depending on where you live, which area, which town. Are there other kids who speak English? Is there a teacher speaking English a little bit? But overall, it's not integrated in the foundational education that public schools offer. So the good thing is that most people, less than 5% of all the Costa Rican people, can read and write, and that's the result of the law that Costa Rica put up, that it's mandatory and free up to this specific age for kids. But you know, the cons is that when you're moving to Costa Rica, you're coming from the USA, from Europe, that you will be better off with private schools. But then again, the budget, is it fitting fitting your budget or not? I know a lot of parents who have happy kids go to the public school, and kids are flexible. They can learn a language like this, especially when they're super young. So you can see this as a serious option, sending them to a public school. Now, what about the online school? Here's the gap in the law. So this is what I've learned, and I cannot find an article confirming that. But if you have a residency, Costa Rica residency, because you can prove that you're a digital nomad and you have a specific income based on $3,000 or $4,000, depending on the amount of people, but you have to prove that you made like at least for a year, the previous year, that specific amount per month, and then you can apply for the digital nomad visa. Awesome, but then you have a visa. But then your kids also fall under the laws of Costa Rica. Schooling, that's also for me. I applied for a residency, for a visa, a long-term visa based on the property I bought. But because there's this gap in the law, it takes a long time before that is approved. It can take between 1 and 3 years, so to say. In those 3 years, we're in this gap of not registered residents, but I can show the paperwork that it's in, it is at the office. I have a number, a file number, etc. So I'm not illegally overstaying my tourist visa, but I do not have to stay within the law because I'm officially not a resident yet. That means for me the freedom that I can send my kids continuing to online learning in a USA online school, professionalized online school. Because here's the thing, when COVID hits in, I saw such a mess happening at the school that I was actually really happy with. They were not used to online teaching. Teachers were teaching at a certain point with Zoom and not knowing where, the quality of the education was super bad. It was chaotic. It is different for the kids. The education and the teaching was not the way that kids need to learn, right? I see the difference now with the education, and I will share that link in the description below, ivla.com learning platform, but it's not approved by the Costa Rica government. So I can walk away with this because I'm not a resident yet, but if I would be a resident, I need to find a way to or register my kids at a public school and just don't have them go there, or I don't know how. This is a gap in the law, and perhaps someone has a solution for it, but I don't. I do know that as long as I have not my residency yet, no one is checking me if my kids go to school or not. I take the responsibility myself, of course, to send my kids to high quality education, which in this case is online. After COVID and after the online transition of the private school where my kids went to, I was not happy with the education. It stressed my kids out. It was messy. And then when the schools opened again, So the kids went back to school, the kids were using masks all day, and now is this pressure of being vaccinated or not. Kids are being outcasted, more or less social pressured by, I know from parents they are against vaccinations and their kids are not allowed to do specific things without a vaccination. And kids don't want to be outcast. Kids want to be the same, right? So now it's like, it's really ugly what is happening with, it's not mandatory to have vaccination, but on schools there is this wave going like, vaccination, we're going to vaccinate all the kids unless you don't want it. And I'm super open, I respect everyone's opinion, but I'm just saying this is happening. If you don't want your kids to have this stamp of he or she is yes or no vaccinated, you can walk away with that, because there is made a difference between vaccinated kids and not vaccinated kids. For example, vaccinated kids do not have to be tested or do not have to wear masks. Not vaccinated kids do need to wear masks. So you can just see that kid is vaccinated. You know how kids are. They're like, you're vaccinated. My parents tell me that not vaccinated kids are bad, or vice versa. It's like, I'm just observing what's happening. And I was like, you know what? I'm stepping away from all of that. I leave in the middle what I think about vaccinations. But I know that I can guide my kids with their online learning, IVLA. I will paste the link down. I'm not earning commissions on that. It's just my personal advice as a mom. It's excellent high quality education, and if you are not having a residency yet, then it's perfect. You provide your kids high quality education, but they need to learn, they need to understand English. And this is the benefit. This is what the international school gave my son. My daughter already was fluent English. She was 14 and she learned it in school in the Netherlands. But my son has a problem with reading and writing because he has dyslexia. So he could only speak and understand Dutch. So he came here at Futura Verde, an international school, and the school helped him tremendously, offering him 2 languages, and he learned fluent English. So he at least learned 1 language. That's now his big benefit. Spanish, it's coming now because he's a little bit slower, right? But he's getting that right now because we Muay Thai, and it's all Spanish-speaking people there. So Spanish is coming. So thanks to that, he could speak and understand English. He can do IVLA, but otherwise it's impossible. So if you're French and watching my videos, train your kids to learn English and the world will open up. So I am a big fan of online learning, but again, how that will be when I'm a resident, I don't know. Hopefully the law and the values about what is accepted for expat, what they offer their kids, even if they have residency, their kids for education, but hopefully they get more freedom of choice. But of course, if you're a resident, you have to move within the laws of Costa Rica, which I accept too. So yeah, we're gonna keep you updated about that. But for now, often, if you apply for residency, whatsoever, it takes a long time to be approved. And meanwhile, you get a file number, and that gives you more or less like the freedom to overstay your tourist visa, right? So I hope that makes sense to realize what options you have. You have not just public or a private school option, you have online option. And I can assure you that the school that my kids do now is I pay way less than the private school. I paid like what I said, $1,200-1,300 including everything per month, right? Per month. Yeah, you hear me right. That's why I always, hammer on, be sure that you have your cash flow, be sure you have enough income, or learn how to make money at the side of what you're doing. And working from home is a benefit. Then you can homeschool your kids, right? That's what I'm doing right now. There's a lot of options basically in the Tamarindo area, in the Central Valley area, but IB credited schools. There's also schools that offer kids to be interns, so that they can stay over there during the week and go home in the weekends. I do know that schools vary, the private schools in those areas, the prices are higher than here at the peninsula. it varies between $600 per month to $1,000, $2,000 per month, 3,000 even. There, depends. And then they say, yeah, but the quality is super high. I believe that the quality, of course, has to do with it, but also I'm an online entrepreneur. I'm kind of having my own values about what schools can provide, traditional settings of schools can provide in these days of COVID. I'm very Dutch. I have very specific thoughts about what I believe is good for kids, and I became an entrepreneur after my 40s, and no one in school ever taught me to be an entrepreneur and making an income online for myself, how to learn business, how to be creative. And that's not exactly what they teach in schools. No matter if it's a private school and you pay $3,000 per month, I don't think they teach entrepreneurship and the law of attraction and how to be a good person overall. They still teach that you need to be educated and learn a specific profession, and then you're gonna get a job or perhaps a business for yourself, but it's also traditional. I don't think this is the only way these days, because we all have seen how the world collapsed during the pandemic, and that people totally messed up their businesses, lost jobs because the world was not ready to go fully online. Which I believe, if you're an online entrepreneur and you teach kids entrepreneurship, being independent, work for yourself and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if schools are still good enough, if teachers are still all good enough to teaching kids values, and if it's still sufficient in this world of today. But that's another discussion, and I don't want to open up this discussion. I just want to plant seeds in your mind. Ask yourself, what is best for my kids? Private school, online school, or public school? What age are your kids? Where do you live? It all has to do with it. Private schools overall have long waiting lists, and they want you to pay an extra month just to get your spot. So, and ask yourself, can a teacher standing in front of the class teach my kids to be independent and free in the world where people are losing their jobs and where COVID is ruling the world? Masks, vaccinations. For now, I'm really good with online learning. We are living here under 180 mango trees, fiber optic. I experience freedom of choice, freedom of location, freedom of finances, because I can give this to my kids, and it's possible. Online education is there. It has nothing to do with that I have to come up with the content to teach my kids. IVLA has a program offered. I'm just guiding, I'm facilitating that the desk is clean, that I can help my son with assignments and motivate my daughter. Hey, how is school going? It's an amazing way. I swear, it's an invention, and my kids don't want to go back to school because they hear stories of their friends about masks, about vaccinations, about how kids are left behind, about teachers who are overworked and underpaid, and schools have to close time after time when the kid has COVID. I want you to consider this all as a whole, and then think, what's best for my kid? I want to move to Costa Rica. I'm interested in hearing information about schools in Costa Rica, pros, cons, benefits, prices. I think I shared it all here in my video. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments below and your questions. And of course, if you're like, Muriel, this makes so much sense, but I don't know how to be a digital nomad. I don't know how to earn my living online. That's okay. I didn't know how to do that too. Go down below my video. There's a world of information. Click one of my links, and the first link leads to my brand new free training showing you what it takes to it's called the Roadmap to Freedom. Just click it, follow it, and you get access to my free course. And yeah, I hope that you benefit from my video. Let me hear from you anyways. I'm here for you to share everything I've learned. I'm not the expert. This is my experience. I hope that you learned something new today. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in Costa Rica one day. And thanks for watching. See you soon. Ciao.